Hey everyone, it is Chrissy Ray, and I'm here with another quick tip episode. Today I'm going to talk about SEO again, and this time we're going to talk about making sure your website is crawlable. So make sure that search engines can see and crawl, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But we want to make sure that the search engines can do that with your website. All right. So first of all, crawlability, search engines can crawling your website. It does sound a little creepy, like they're crawling on your website. But basically, what happens is when a search engine goes to your website, it goes through every page that it can access in your website, and that's how it indexes or adds the pages to the search engine. So they need to be able to see all of the pages to do that. Now, if you are a WordPress user, before you get too far into this episode, I really highly recommend installing the Google Sitekit plugin and the Yoast SEO plugins. Those are going to do a lot of the things that I'm recommending for you. So go ahead and install those first, pause this, come back, and then listen to the rest. All right. So now that you've done that, if you're a WordPress user, the first thing I want you to do is set up a Google Search Console account. You can go to search.google.com/search-console. And you're going to set up a property on there after you've got an account set up for Google. You're going to set up a property and you're going to index or you're going to search your website. Now, when you do this, Google is going to give you an overview of how it can see your site. Now, you do need to give it a little bit of time to see what kind of performance that you're getting, but the reason that you're setting this up in the first place is to see what kind of coverage you get. So there is a coverage tool in the Google Search Console, and it's going to tell you if you have any errors, if there's anything that's valid with a warning, anything that's valid, or anything that may be excluded. Now, for my website that I'm using for examples in this series, I'm using the Pongos Learning Lab website, and it has a lot of pages. It's an e-commerce website, so it's got thousands of pages. I don't need to index all of them, but I've got a lot of them indexed. So I am getting a few errors when I use the Search Console for the Pongos Learning Lab website. I've got one of my submitted URLs is marked as no index, and the Search Console will actually show me this. I've got a redirect error, and I've got a submitted URL seems to be a soft 404. If you're getting any errors like that when you index your website or when you submit your website to the search engine console or the search console, it will give you some information about that. You can work with your web developer, if you've got one, to fix those issues. If you don't have a web developer, make sure you sign up for the Get Your Business Online Facebook group, and you can ask any questions that you have in there, and we'll try to help you out there. But you want to try to have as few errors as possible and as few valid with warnings as possible. You want to get all of your pages to be valid. Now, one of the most common errors that I see in there is that something is a website or pages are blocked by robots.txt. Now, if you're a WordPress user and you're seeing that, then there's a really good chance that you forgot to turn off the discourage search engines from indexing the site setting. That's a very common mistake. You just go into the reading settings in the WordPress dashboard to fix that. But if you're not using WordPress and you're getting that error, again, check with your web developer, make sure that they can fix that error. There might be a robots.txt file on the server that's discouraging robots. And robots are basically they're programs that do the indexing for the search engine. Now, after you've inspected everything, you've looked at everything in the Google Search Console, again, you need to give it some time. You need to give it a few days or a few weeks to actually see what your performance looks like for your search engine. But once you do that, you'll be able to see things like what words, what queries people are using to search for you. So, for example, my Pongos Learning Lab website is getting a lot of searches for Pongos Learning Lab, which is probably people that are trying to find where we are. They're going to a birthday party or they're going to a club or something like that, and they're searching for it. And I get another result for how to add a server in Minecraft. I have a really popular post on the website about how to add a server in Minecraft. It's a pretty basic one, but it gets a lot of traffic for the website. So that's a good thing. Now, after you've taken care of getting the site added to Google Search Console, another really cool tool that they've got is the URL inspector. And it's just a little search bar at the top of the page, and you can search for any URL. And when you do that, it's going to let you know if the URL is on Google. So I just search for pongoslearninglab.com, and it tells me that the URL is on Google, and I've got the coverage is that it's submitted and indexed. One thing I want to note is that it is telling me that the page is mobile friendly. That is extremely important. If you remember a few years ago, and in some cases this still happens today, but you used to have to like pinch and drag things around to look at a website. That means the website wasn't mobile friendly. It means that they if you were on your phone and you were trying to pinch in and drag around to see the website, it's not mobile friendly. If you have to do that with your website, you might want to consider a redesign to make the website mobile friendly. Mobile friendly is going to give big improvement to your search engine optimization. Search engines they're going to give priority to mobile friendly websites. So you do need to make sure that the website is mobile friendly. Now, after you've inspected this, if you find an issue in the search engine or in Google specifically, if you find an issue in Google with that URL, or like, let's say that you're searching for the website and the title comes up wrong or something like that, you can put the URL in the inspector, and then when you go to the URL inspection page, you can click on request indexing, and that will make it re-index the page. So that way any issues that you may have fixed are going to be fixed in the search engine results. So that's really good. If you have any issues, if you get any errors when you index or when you inspect a URL, make sure that you talk with your web developer about fixing those issues. You might want to give them access to your Search Console account so they can see the issues. Now, another thing that you can do is submit a sitemap. So sitemaps are XML, and they're very technical looking. There's lots of tags. It looks like code. You don't have to know how to write XML to make your sitemap. So it looks very technical, but you don't have to make it yourself. If you're using WordPress and you installed that Yoast SEO plugin that I recommended earlier, it will create all of your sitemaps for you. It does all of that code for you. If you don't have WordPress and your search engine, not your search engine, and your content management system doesn't create the sitemaps for you automatically, then you can use some online tools to build the sitemap and submit that to the Search Engine Console. So for example, there's a tool called SlickPlan that'll do it for you. It's pretty easy to use. There is a paid version of it, so you might have to pay a few dollars to create the sitemap, but it's totally worth it because it tells the search engine, or in this case, Google, it tells the search engine what pages it should look at. It tells it how when was last updated, and some other information that's going to help with the search engine optimization. All right, so those are the basics. You really want to make sure that Google, at least, and Bing and the other search engines, but in this case, we're talking about Google. You want to make sure that it can crawl your website, and using the Search Console and the URL inspector and the sitemap are going to give it the best chance of doing that. So if you haven't already done so, I do want you to set up a Google Search Console account, and I want you to you need a Google account for it, but I want you to add your website to a Google Search Console. And again, if you use that Google Sitekit plugin that I mentioned earlier, if you're on WordPress, it will automatically set up the property for you, so you don't have to worry too much about that. If you have any questions, make sure you ask in the Get Your Business Online Facebook group, and I will talk to you next time.